Hey everyone, it's B, and you're listening to another episode of the In Your Feelings podcast. So, for those of you who are new here, In Your Feelings is a podcast I created with Thought Catalog that dives into the very real and very messy aspects of life that we are all navigating. This podcast is dedicated to having honest conversations relative to things like relationships and moving on and letting go. Things that can feel really disheartening and really confusing. And we have these conversations in the hopes that this openness and this vulnerability makes you feel less alone in what you're feeling and reminds you that you aren't the only person who is dealing with certain things in life. So, for today's episode, we are going to be talking about letting go of what no longer serves us. And I think, especially right now, it's so unbelievably important to take inventory of the things that we're keeping in our lives, of the things that we're giving our energy to. Lately, due to the way the world has changed so quickly, and due to the fact that we are all sitting with ourselves and really sitting with how our lives feel, due to all of that, I think so many of us are really looking at our lives and asking ourselves what we want from them. I mean, I know I'm doing this. I know so many people in my life are asking, who we want to be, who we want by our side, what we want to be putting out into the world, how we want to spend our time here. It feels so precious. And there's been such a huge shift in priorities due to that. A lot of eyes have been opened to the things in life we were just feeding and giving energy to for the sake of keeping them around, for the sake of having something convenient and familiar within it. But when all of that was almost like taken away, when we had to really, really look at that, I think a lot of us started asking, okay, but how does my life feel? And what feels heavy in it? What truly feels like it does not serve me anymore? What have I outgrown? And what nurtures this idea of what I do want my time here to look like? What is bringing me joy right now? What should I be giving my energy to? What nourishes this concept of who I want to be? And that's a really beautiful place to be, but it's also a really scary place to be. I've said this so many times on this podcast, but it's such an important lesson, and it's one that even I'm still learning, if I'm being completely honest. And this lesson is that change isn't necessarily the easiest thing to welcome in our lives, especially when you are the person driving that change, especially when you are the person who is letting go or taking inventory and deciding that you might have to do something that's really hard, that you might have to choose to walk away from certain situations or relationships. To be the person who just leaps towards the unknown, who can set things down with grace, that takes so much work. My God. And I've always thought about it like a muscle you have to strengthen, like the building up of your emotional capacity to understand that you're going to be okay if you create space in your life. You're going to be okay if you let go, even if it feels like you want to hold on. It takes a while to get there. It takes a while to learn how to make those choices for yourself, how to feel comfortable with those choices. Because human beings will always want to hold on to things, even if these things no longer serve us. It's in our DNA. We like our protection. We like our familiarity. It makes us feel safe. And we like knowing that we have people beside us. We like knowing that we have security. And that's okay. It is nothing to be ashamed of. Loss is measurable. It is difficult to sit with those voids. It's difficult to choose that circumstance to say, okay, I did this. I chose this. I chose to set this down. I chose this discomfort. But you have to build that muscle that chooses courage over comfort. It is the most important thing you will do when you start to notice certain things in your life that are no longer in alignment with what you want from it. Because at the end of the day, if you keep holding on to things you know deep down inside of your soul, your heart, that you need to let go of, you are keeping yourself blocked and hidden away from the right things that are trying to find you, that are trying to fit into your life. You are keeping yourself closed off from the things that will feel like peace, from the things that will make your chest surge with the happiness that comes from feeling like your life is a true and honest extension of what you want it to be. When you hold on, even when you need to let go, you are choosing your past over your future. You are choosing your comfort over your courage. And while that might be easier, while it might be the less scary thing to do, as time moves forward, it will become way too heavy to hold in your life. It will start to affect you. Because even right now, there are things you're thinking about that are sitting uneasy in your stomach as I say these words. You're thinking about things that are sitting uneasily in your heart. There are friendships you know you need to let go of. There are relationships you feel trapped or suffocated within. There are opportunities you want to take, but you are so afraid of making the change, of taking the chance. There are things you see in your future, things you truly dream of, that you know you aren't working towards, that you know you need to make some space for. You're aware. You know how your life feels, and if there is anything right now in your life that is filling you with darkened hope, if there are people or things or circumstances that are constantly causing you anxiety, that feel heavy within the heart of you, you know you have to set those things down. You have to give yourself permission to choose change. You have to give yourself permission to choose yourself even when it hurts and even when it's hard. So if you're in this place right now, and I think a lot of us are, I know I am, if you're in this space between knowing you have to let go and finding it hard to choose that, I have a few little reminders for you. And I hope they help you move forward and to really choose yourself, to choose who you're becoming, and to go confidently in the direction of all of the happiness and all of the right things that are waiting for you on the other side of this season. And so my first reminder would be to just give yourself permission to change. Give yourself permission to outgrow people and places and situations. Give yourself permission to let go of the past. You are a human being. You are changing. We are all constantly changing. And you have to honor that change. Because sometimes love changes. Sometimes happiness changes. And sometimes our hope changes. Sometimes we go through things that are really hard and that connect us with what we truly want from life. Sometimes those things are painful. And then sometimes we experience so much beauty at the hands of life that we are reminded of what we want to continue towards, what we want our lives to feel like. We only ever want to chase the things in our control that make us feel those ways. It's okay to admit this to yourself. It really opens your eyes. So I need you to understand that it is okay to outgrow people who do not know how to love you. It is okay to outgrow the person you used to be. It is okay to change. It is okay to want different things. It is okay to want a version of happiness that differs from the one you had when you were younger. Or, if I'm being honest, that even differs from the one you had 6 months ago or a week ago. It's okay. If you are going through so much, if you are experiencing and putting yourself into this world, be proud of the way you've changed. Be proud of the way you've grown more aware or more secure or more in alignment with what you truly want. That's evolution and you can't fight it. So you might as well embrace it and allow yourself to let go. Be in awe of your growth. Don't turn it into a bad thing. And secondly, understand that comfort isn't always a good thing. It's not always good for you. And on the contrary to that, on the other hand, just because something is uncomfortable in your life, that doesn't mean it's bad for you. This work, these decisions, these seasons of change in your life will always feel a little uncomfortable because change and growth is uncomfortable. I don't even know how to make it sound pretty. It's hard. Growth isn't this comfortable, miraculous thing. It can get really ugly. It can get very confusing. It's gritty, it's hard, it's difficult to confront yourself sometimes. It's difficult to be the person who does things differently, who doesn't settle. But it's the greatest thing you'll ever give to yourself because it will push you towards figuring out what your own personal version of happiness looks like. And when you grow on your own terms, when you figure out what actually matters to you, and when you carve out your own path, you live on your own terms. You love on your own terms. And you become the person you've always wanted to be rather than the person you were always told to be. And that is freaking beautiful. Because when it comes down to it, life is about making yourself proud. It's about finding a version of happiness that works for you, that is honest and authentic and an extension of who you really, really are. You have to own your choices. You have to own this letting go, this unraveling, this change. You really have to stand up for your growth even when it feels like it isn't happening, even when other people question it. Because that is a whole secondary aspect of change. Change is hard, and when you change, not only are you changing your own life, not only are you dealing with all of that, like peeling back those layers, but you're also, in turn, changing the way that you exist in other people's lives. And so some people might struggle with that. Some people will not always meet you where you are. Some people will call you crazy for trying. Some people will be upset with the way you have to change, with the way you have to reevaluate where your energy is going. Some people won't support your becoming, and that's okay. You know, you have to understand that they're on their own journey within growth, and they're on their own journey within comfort. And some people want you to stay the same because change is too confronting for them. It makes them aware of the things in their life that they're afraid of or needing to work towards. And they'll get there on their own time. They'll become aware in the same ways you did. And until then, those people will want you to stay the same. They'll want you to hold on because it directly benefits them. I hope that doesn't sound too negative. I hope that feels like a little bit of clarity cracking within the heart of you, making you understand why some people can't celebrate this season of your life or really encourage your growth. They're holding on in their own way too. But you have to give yourself permission and understand that you can change the cost of what it takes to access you. You can change your boundaries. You can change your trajectory in this life. You can change and you can own that change. And if the people in your life can't celebrate that, then they were never really celebrating you, like the true you, or supporting you or rooting for you in the first place. The people in your life who embrace your becoming, who get so excited for you, who just want to watch you flourish, those are the people you have to give your energy to. Those are the people you have to listen to. Those are the opinions that matter. And another reminder I have is letting go is scary. But we can work to learn how to reframe it into something that is actually really beautiful. Because how lucky were you to have these people and these circumstances, these moments in your life that taught you? How lucky were you to find all of this growth, to experience things at the hands of life that taught you and built you into the kind of person who has more awareness now, who has transformed into someone with new goals or a new viewpoint or a new dream? I find that so incredible. I love people like that. I love when you can reframe your growth that way and turn it into something that isn't scary, but rather something that is just so damn cool, that is so damn incredible. Because isn't it incredible that for a moment in time you experienced something that is now changing your life, that taught you what you wanted, that you experienced something that really opened your eyes to how you want to be loved or how you want to be treated or how you want your friendships to feel? Isn't it incredible that you were given that knowledge, that you were given those lessons at the hands of life? And now you get to do with them what you may. You get to turn them into either growth, or you can grip at them and hold on to them and lament them. But I hope you choose to reframe them into things that were so beautifully, were these beautiful teachers in your life. I hope you learn how to do that. It takes time, but you get to a point where eventually you realize that your biggest losses were truly your biggest gains in life. And I think that while we're on this topic, loss can be really difficult when you have to walk away from someone or something that you feel obligated to. And we all say, I need to stay loyal. I feel guilty for leaving. I'm scared to leave because I don't want to be alone. I don't want to deal with the hurt. There's so many reasons inside of ourselves. But when we talk like that, we aren't actually holding on to these things because they're positive, beautiful aspects of our lives. We're holding on because we feel a responsibility and an obligation to. And I think that will only ever lead to resentment, because you have to choose your growth. You have to choose who you are becoming, who you want to be. You have to listen to your heart. You have to understand that certain things will not be able to weather you changing. Certain things just won't fit into the heart of you any longer. And it's okay to be honest about that. You have to be honest about that. Because when you hold on and your mind knows you have to let go, and your heart knows you have to let go, and everything inside of you is just begging you to change, to take the chance, to set things down, when you hold all of that awareness inside of yourself, but you don't take action, it really paralyzes you. I am speaking from experience. It paralyzes you. And it always gets to a tipping point. There is always a threshold you pass where you just can't do it any longer, where you have to go in the direction of your peace. And I mean, as I said before, when you hold on to something that no longer serves you, when you keep the past alive inside of you, you do that at the expense of your future. You have to make space in your life. You have to make space for your future, the one you believe in so deeply. You have to make space for that to find you. You have to be the person who is doing the work, who is making choices each day that are driving you towards who you really want to be. Because if you have a vision for yourself, if you know what kind of life you want to live, or at least how you want your life to feel, if you know what kind of love you want, if you know how you want your job or your hobbies or your moments on this earth, if you know how you want those things to make you feel, you have to stop doing things that are in direct opposition of that feeling, of that future. If you want the kind of love that is beautiful and soft and peaceful all over, and we all want that, you have to have the strength to walk away from the kind of love that is heavy and difficult and that weighs down your heart. You have to stop putting your time and energy into people who do not make you feel seen, who do not make you feel celebrated, who do not genuinely defend and protect your heart. You have to trust that you deserve more. You have to choose that. And if you want the kind of life that is full, that feels like you are living it, that doesn't feel like you are just tolerating it or taking a back seat to it, that you are just going through the motions, you have to challenge the motions. You have to challenge the comfort. You have to go out into this world. You have to crash yourself into it, no matter how scary it is. And you have to figure out what makes you feel the most alive, the most yourself. You have to make an effort to rediscover that humanity, the parts of yourself that come alive when you do certain things, the parts of yourself that feels so at home within a job or a dream or a purpose or whatever it is you're doing with your time. You have to chase that lightness, that understanding. You have to defend it. I say this all the time, but you have to nourish what supports you in life, what really makes you feel good. And you have to water it like a plant. That might sound cliche, but you have to nourish these things in order to watch them come to fruition in your life. Because they're never going to do so if you aren't tending to them, if you aren't fighting for them. So ask yourself, when you think about what no longer serves you in life, when you think about what feels heavy and hard and almost suffocating, when you think about that in your head, what does your heart feel? Whose name comes up in your mind? What circumstances are currently fluttering through your stomach? What is asking to be felt? What is asking to be acknowledged? What no longer serves you? And why aren't you letting it go? You are strong enough to feel this. You are strong enough to let go. You are strong enough to choose courage over comfort. Because I really need you to ask yourself this. I really need you to connect with this. If you want to take a minute to just close your eyes, I want you to ask yourself, who would you be if you did that? Who would you be if you set what hurts down? If you really let go? Who would you be without the relationships in your life that do not serve you? Without the things in your life that do not reach for you with the same depth and the same hopefulness and the same conviction that you reach for them with? Who would you be without the opinions of the outside world? Without the expectations? Who would you be if you knew that your soul would not be judged? That the version of yourself you presented to the world was the purest reflection of who you were inside? Who would you be if you let go? If you did not try to control? If you let things flow through you like rain? Who would you be if you gave yourself permission to change? If you gave yourself permission to do things differently? Who would you be if you went ruthlessly in the direction of what you truly, truly desired in life? If you committed to existing in a way that made you happy on your own terms? Who would you be if you finally decided, outside of outward validation, outside of respect or external success, who would you be if you finally decided that you were worthy, that you were valued, that you did not have to be perfect in order to be loved? Who would you be? Who would you be if you allowed yourself to let go of what no longer serves you? Who would you be if you really, really stood up for yourself and what you deserved in this life? What would that look like? What would you want? It's time to really pay attention to that, and it's time to know that you can have it. Whew, got real deep and real intimate at the end there. But obviously, I say this in so many of my podcast episodes, but I believe in this topic so deeply, and I believe in your capacity to hopefully move forward and just feel more empowered in your growth. And hopefully you just feel a little more encouraged to move into your future and to pay attention to what makes you happy and to really pay attention to what is no longer serving you in life. I hope you know that you can let go. And I know it is scary and I know it is uncomfortable, but I also know that you are very brave and very courageous and that you can do hard things. You can do hard things. And I hope you never forget that. And that's what I'll leave you on today. I hope you're staying safe out there. And I am putting so much love into the world for all of you. And I cannot wait until next week to talk to you again.